You're on a retro trek with the Caramel Apples, a podcast that dials up thoughtful, heartwarming nostalgia of all things great and retro in the golden era of pop culture and beyond. I'm Kennedy Rizzo.
And I'm Cooper Lee.
This week, we're going to talk about a fascinating, nostalgic trek back into our childhoods with the lovable Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Okay, so this week we have been very patient and ever excited to talk about the iconic Mr. Fred Rogers of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He is the late author and creator of this show, this entity. So we've got a lot of things that we want to unpack this week, a lot of caramelicious tidbits to go over. But first, thanks for joining us, Orchard Archivers. Thank you for taking the time to journey back with us this week. And don't forget to take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave us a 5-star written review. We so appreciate your continued support. Again, this week we have an exciting bit of nostalgia to tickle your ears with. So, Coop, you and I actually did watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. This was one of our staples in our childhood memories.
Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a child from our age range that had not, at some point in time, seen an episode or two and not just see it, but, really get engaged.
That's true. And that's what it was. That's as we develop our topic this week, that is one of the things about nostalgia that is it's kind of hard to explain.
Uh huh.
We do a lot of like this, and that, and the other. We're all over the place because your mind's excited with going back there.
Yeah.
But like our imaginations were effortlessly stoked back then.
Oh, absolutely. Um, it was highly encouraged. Not that it isn't now, but we're not really around children, so we don't really know. But it just on the personal level that we can speak from, it was definitely encouraged to just let your imagination run wild at that time.
That's right. That's right. So, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was a half-hour educational children's television series that ran for 31 seasons. I know. From 1968 all the way to 2001.
Mm, mm, mm.
The series was aimed primarily at preschool age children from like 2 to 5, but it really was labeled by PBS, which was the public broadcasting system, as appropriate for all ages. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we weren't preschool when we watched this. We were definitely probably in greater middle school, but it was still a warm welcome to see him come on the screen and do his thing.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers. I mean, you could just say the name and you could know several Mr. Rogers, but he would be what would pop in your head
That's
with the
true.
name. He's so iconic. And talk about 31 years, 31 seasons of this show. He pretty
Mm-mm-mm.
much retired, right? He did what a normal somebody going to a job and punching that time clock for so many years. That's what he did on this TV show.
I think he did. But like the experience and going, the minute the show start, it showed that little how do you say it? It's kind of like a model of a neighborhood, like little tiny, I don't know, what do you call that? Like the little trees, the little houses.
Yeah, I think it was like a little model neighborhood. That's probably the best way you could describe it.
Yeah. So that's how it was starting to have the cute little chimey theme music, and you're going and looking all down the little street, you see the little cars.
Yeah.
And then they'd zoom into it, and then they'd zoom back out, showing the door of obviously the stage, the live stage where he comes in.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's like, it's a what wait, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day. And it's just He just come in like he was everybody's like uncle or best friend or whatever.
Yeah, like, and just immediately, you knew the song, you'd sing right along,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're excited. What's next? He had a format, so you got really used to the format, and you were ready every single time he was on.
These type of programs, Coop, they brought a sense of wonder and excitement for what's to come. You just said that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just different now. Like programs don't strap you in for the ride. Like you just kind of like, okay, what are we watching? Then your Z's over your head in 2.2 seconds because you're so bored. And this is adult shows, kid shows, whatever. I mean, the kids, they're about it because I mean, I don't know how much they use their marbles anyway for anything. They're all different than kind of we were. I mean, they're around, they're functioning, but whatever. Yeah. So, just mentioning that, it's just everything we talk about here in the Retro Orchard, it's all about memories and nostalgia. There is a vast distinction between what we experienced then versus what we experience now. And I am so grateful we have these warm, fond memories of better times.
Just love it. Love it, love it,
Yeah,
love it, love it, love
that is not an understatement.
it. No.
But Mr. Rogers, and I think you had mentioned this before when we were putting this together, that he was very soft spoken. His cadence was very even keeled. He almost had like a childlike whisper with a very melodic dialect when he spoke to the camera, when he spoke to the audience.
Yeah, very engaging.
Yeah, and you could tell that he was voicing the hand puppets, and he was always at the helm of the sing-alongs that could entertain the audience for hours.
Yeah, and like, we'd already mentioned kind of that, when he came in, he'd take off his jacket, and he would change to his infamous comfy colored sweaters, right?
Yes.
It was kind of a thing like, what color is it going to be today?
Yeah.
Because it just kind of added, it was just another layer of his signature.
Yeah, and he made it very personal. Like you felt like you were getting ready to spend some time with him.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And as he took off his dress shoes, and he put on his tennis shoes, it just like he was settling in, and you just right along with him.
That's right. That's right.
And the "Won't you be my neighbor?"
Yeah.
That was written by Fred Rogers in 1967. Here we are, 2024, and we can still sing the song.
Right. Yes.
Bananas.
That again, that is how strong and effective nostalgia is.
Yeah, yeah. And this was the opening theme song for each episode of the show. So that's
Hmm.
cool that, because a lot of times you'll watch shows and they'll do little variations after it's been on for a couple, 3 seasons. They'll change it up. It'll get a little more jazzy or a little more hip hoppy or something, They'll change things up because they're trying to keep it fresh. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
his song was the same, and that is so neat.
And a lot of times when you're dealing with when you're watching shows, he's an actor, obviously. But he came across very genuine and authentic.
Yes.
And I mean, he this was for children, and he he accomplished what he set out to do, and it was pretty much paid dirt for the production studio and
Yeah.
the station and everything. Because I mean, like it was shows like his and some other ones we had talked about before, were referenced: Sesame Street, Electric Company, Reading Rainbow. Like all of those are so near and dear to our hearts.
Yeah. Because there wasn't a lot to choose from when we were children.
No.
So these were really, it's like it was TV for us.
Yes.
And then generationally, because like we said, this started back in the 60s, we weren't around.
Yeah,
So,
thankfully.
yeah, there's people a lot older than us that probably could still sing this song as well. It's crazy how that's generational.
Yeah. Since we're talking about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, like he would introduce us to some of his neighbors.
Yes, yes.
So what are a few of the names that he would exchange pleasantries with?
I can remember there was Officer Clemens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Mr. McFeely, uh, Lady Aberlin, I presume.
I presume.
uh, Joe Key Cree, Joe Cree, I think. Joni Cree, yes, handyman.
Okay.
And Bob, there was a Bob.
Bob Tro.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So that would be the some of the and I think there was some more that he actually would talk to or introduce the audience to,
yeah.
but let's just be honest. What were we all there for? We were ready to go on our the imagination ride of our lives.
We were waiting for that little ding ding from the trolley.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And
Oh, go ahead.
well, where was he going to take us to?
He was going to take us to the land of make believe.
There we go. Yes, yes.
Neighborhood of make believe. Okay, trolley.
So there's a whole gaggle of lovable characters that we met on the other side of things.
Yeah, which, like you said, that's what we were really tuning in for because we knew that was his mainstay.
That's right. That's right. So we would follow the trolley into the little track into the wall, and we'd be on the
Yeah,
other side.
so cool. And the trolley would have conversations with him. Like he would ask the trolley questions. It would be like ding 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 ding.
That is incredibly adorable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ollie, you want to play? Okay.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. If this episode entertained you, please share it. Spread the word. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your continued support. Now, back to the show. And because, the trolley, I had a special affinity for that little guy because I love trains.
Yes. Do you remember his little song?
Where'd it go? Do 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 do. Ding ding.
There it is.
Ding ding. Do 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 do. So
He was on his little mission, wasn't he?
he was. We were holding on tight.
Oh.
So now Trolley takes us to introduce some of the characters on the other side in the land of make believe, which was I think I do remember Henrietta Pussycat.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Um and there's Harriet Elizabeth Cow, Cornflake especially.
Yes. I think he had like a little like dinner jacket and a little bow tie.
I think so too. I remember.
Yeah.
Then there's X the Owl,
Uh-huh.
Don Quixote,
Yeah.
and Grand Pierre. And I think you reminded me of one when we were putting this together. I can't remember. It was a little family. What was it?
Anna and the Platypus Family.
Okay, yes, the platypus family.
I think I can't remember if she actually did or if it was her mom. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure about who all members of the family was, but I think she used to wear like a little handkerchief on her head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Oh man, it's flooding back in.
I know, right?
Yes.
So then, since we're on the subject of these characters there in the land of make believe, who else do we have there?
Lady Elaine Fairchild.
Which didn't she vaguely remind you of in Solid Gold? Was it Madam? I think her name was Madam something, but she was a puppet like that was on Solid Gold. They both had these rosy cheeks and the tips of their nose were all rosy red.
Yeah, and as a kid, they scared you to death in a way because they
Yeah.
looked. I mean, your imaginations run wild. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Was it Madame Tulane or something?
That seems familiar. We'll have to do some checking on that. But yeah, I mean, like they kind of, or that could be just a kid memory, right? They may not look anything alike, but
That's
your mind
highly
is like,
possible.
yeah,
And then we had King Friday 13.
I presume.
Then we have his I guess his significant other, Queen Sarah Saturday.
Yeah.
And their kid, Prince Tuesday.
Yeah. And speaking of um these characters, Lady Elaine Fairchild, do you remember what her house looked like?
Yeah, it was the carousel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or
I
merry-go-round?
think it was kind of like a go round type thing. Like
Merry-go-round, yes.
yeah. And
Oh,
and of course the king and queen and prince they lived in the castle.
oh, naturally, yes, they have to have a castle.
Oh yeah.
Every kid wanted to be Mr. Rogers in his neighborhood. Like,
Yeah.
this was definitely a treat when they had allowed us to come on in there. Um, Mr. Rogers, you know, he hosted this gentle forum for children, and he treated the kids in the audience, because that's mostly what the audience was made up of, was like we were intelligent little people
Right. Mm-hmm.
who deserved this type of special programming, that it's tailored for us, like the adults have programs tailored for them.
Exactly. Yes.
I don't know. Like from the moment he changes into his cardigan, his sweater, and sneakers, we little people were enthralled.
Uh-huh.
You
Good
know, and
word.
you add in those hand puppets and marionettes from the land of make believe and the trolley,
Yay.
and you've got you a bona fide children's classic.
Yeah. Um Fun fact. For 33 years, he was the inspiration and frontman for a top-rated children's show. In addition, he wrote 30 books, earned 40 honorary degrees, won 4 Emmys, was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame, and was presented with the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Mm.
His achievements stand the test of time and prove that kindness should never be mistaken for weakness.
How many books was that again?
30.
He was a busy gentleman, wasn't he?
He really was. It's crazy.
And, Mr. Rogers was so likable too. Like besides his neighbors that he introduced the audience to, his real live people neighbors, he also had some special celebrity guests on there as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And these are older names. This was this was time in the retro past. So some of the names, maybe Gen Zers wouldn't even remotely know unless they had like YouTube or something, but or
Yeah.
social media. But LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow was on there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Hand in hand, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
The very famous 80s, 70s, 80s cook or chef was Julia Childs. She was a guest on there.
definitely. Hmm.
And crooner Tony Bennett. Like he was a name you knew back then. Like he was like kind of like ran in the pack of Frank Sinatra and some of those Sammy Davis Jr., some of those important fellows.
Yeah. So, wow, here's this little show for the kiddies.
Yes, we get to hear from Tony Bennett,
Yeah, you got some big names coming on here. How cool is that?
right?
Yeah, maybe that was for the moms, because they knew they might be tuning in as well. Um, but that's really cool. And here's another fun fact.
Okay.
Um, Michael Keaton actually worked for the show
No kidding.
before he got his big break in Hollywood. That was something that he did was on that show.
Oh, see, we knew he was awesome anyway because he's freaking Batman.
Thank you.
But
Exactly.
so we might have seen him, or sensed that he'd be connected to this or something. That's a stretch, wasn't it? You're like, yeah, it was.
Let's make it work.
In the orchard, we do.
Oh yeah. Is this our land of make believe?
100%. Hashtag facts. Well, Mr. Rogers, he embraced the shining vision and never wavered from his purpose. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
His goal was to improve children's physical and emotional well being while harnessing one of the most available disruptive technologies of his time for the greater good, and that was the television in homes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's far worse now, but
Oh my goodness.
yeah, the television back then, the color TV was public enemy number one for the old timers. They were kind of like, "What is this media? This right here, this little box."
Yeah. And everybody, they'd be like, it was something to have one in your home.
Yeah.
Now it's one in every room, even you have them in your bathroom. You have all sizes.
Right?
Yes.
Well, while most of our memories may be about the hand puppets and the sing along melodies,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Rogers displayed the courage to use this medium to tackle and pave the way on the most challenging and divisive issues, and we should say a lot of touchy issues of this generation. And he used this to teach young minds how to understand and navigate such topics as war, death, racism, school enrollment, and divorce, just to name a few.
Yeah. And that's the reality of all of those things. They're very adult issues, but children can feel them.
Yeah.
It does
Mm-hmm.
impact every human on the planet. So, to make it more palatable for people who don't quite understand the ins and outs of all these issues, but can still very much have to deal with them, it's nice to make it maybe not palatable, but more understandable to the children.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's cool.
That is cool.
So, fun fact, 11 years after Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood concluded, PBS debuted an animated spin-off called Daniel's Tiger or Daniel's Tiger's Neighborhood.
Okay. So I remember seeing this. I remember catching this where we were at our parents' house, and this was like on TV when they still had cable. And I was watching it for a little bit. I was in between talking and looking at the TV, and he was doing identical things that Mister Roger did, but he's a little animated tiger.
Oh, so you've seen, is it still, as far as you know, still on?
I think so.
Really?
I think you
Okay.
have to stream it. I mean, he's probably on cable too, but who has cable anymore?
Right.
Talk about a retro relic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about as retro and relic as those cords behind that. What are these for? No, but he would change his little shoes and his sweater, and he would sing and wave to the audience. It was
Oh,
tailored for kids still.
how precious.
Yeah, so they just took Mr. Rogers concept and put it sweetly into this little animated classic
Oh,
Daniel's Tigers neighborhood.
that's cute.
It was pretty cute. I was like, ah, sitting here grown. I'm like, this is wonderful.
Hey, it's okay. You're a kid at heart.
Totally. We'll go with it.
So yeah, I would love to maybe catch a Daniel's tiger. I'll have to look him up or whatever, because he that sounds adorable.
He is, and he's just like, I think he gets in a little school bus and
Oh,
he goes and visits his little friends and stuff. Same thing in the neighborhood. He is adorable.
that is precious. So on the note of fun facts, I have another one. In December of 2023, Variety ranked Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood at number 89 on its list of the 100 greatest TV shows of all time.
That's impressive.
That
Okay.
is impressive.
And we're not surprised.
No, not at all.
Cool. Yeah. Well, what goes up must come down. And, like everything, there's an ebb and flow,
Yeah.
even in the realm of pop culture and entertainment. But he did probably, I think we spoke about this at the beginning of our episode this week, that, he laid low and he retired after a while in
Yeah.
2001. But I do think he come out of retirement temporarily to help um, boost morale. And I think he did kind of like a public service message for 9/11, the victims and all that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So again, he's got that tender heart. He wanted to, if it was in his power and it was desired, he would like to do something to help soothe the hurt that folks were experiencing at that time. And he did it like Mr. Rogers could do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they actually made a movie, didn't they? Did they come out and
They did.
okay, sorry. Go ahead, Coop. She's the one telling you.
No, you're right. Because I that totally slipped my mind. Tom Hanks.
Mm,
He's another big one from that time parameters. And still very, very big today. But he did a movie. I don't know if it was really just about his life as well, or if it just was like a long version of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, like you were tuning in for the show and him being in it. I'm not
mm.
sure. I haven't watched it. Um, have to put that on the to-do list for sure.
Yeah, it'd probably be a good watch.
Yeah. But I do remember seeing like the cover art for it, and it's like he very well portrays Mr. Rogers. You could tell it's Tom,
Okay.
but he looks very much similar to Mr. Rogers. So
Fit
very
the
cool.
role.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. And I had heard that maybe they're like distantly related, like in some weird genetic finding.
Really?
Yeah, like they're like something like, I think it was something crazy, like they were like 18, 19 cousins removed or something.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, again, this is all good, light and airy stuff. But then on a sad note, fans and friends from the world over of entertainment were left devastated in 2003 when Mr. Fred Rogers, died on February 27th from stomach cancer.
Mm,
He was 74 years old. So, I mean, he did a lot in those 74 years. And it's sad that he's not here, but we have a lot of good memories baked within his shows, the classics,
yeah.
and the wonderful nostalgia that he dialed up anytime you saw him hit the screen.
Yeah. He definitely was part of our childhood and for so many others. And on the note of, you know, what he created and how he would end his show, he would sing us out, right?
Mm-hmm.
He'd let you know that you were great just being you, and just hold on to that. So, two snaps and we're gonna be out.
Oh, Carmelicious treasures.
Ollie, you want to play? Okay.
And that's it for this week's Orchard Truck Retro. To make sure that you never miss out on another second of our Carmelicious podcast, meet up with us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast fixed. Bye for now, and thanks so much for listening.